Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Idiots on the Airwave podcast, where today I am the Idiots on the Airwaves, and AdventureKarma here is technical difficulties because before this, he couldn't get his lighting to work, and the camera kept flashing out because of the bad lights in his room.
Yeah.
So, roles flipped today, and the topic is also flipped today because now it's my turn to bring up something. And what I wanted to talk about, because I went to this a few weeks ago, and I wanted to talk about it and share my experience with AdventureKarma here. Or should I call you Miguel? Can I?
It doesn't matter. We are one.
Okay. All right. I'll just call you Miguel then.
All right.
Since the face reveal hasn't happened, it's,
Yeah.
All right. So I went to a concert a few weeks ago, and it was a metal concert, and it was my first metal show. And so I went to see the most extreme band that I could. I went to go see Meshuggah. And if you don't know who Meshuggah is, they're a extreme metal band from Sweden, and the stuff they play is very technical, and the crowd was insane. The show was sold out, and I went with two buddies of mine, and they enjoyed it. I loved it. It was a great experience. And there were a few aspects that I wanted to talk about, because I don't know if Miguel here has ever been to a concert. Have you been to a concert before?
I have been to one concert, and it was Weird Al Vankiek, and I don't think that's something I should base other concerts off of.
You saw Weird Al for real?
Yeah. I was much younger, though.
Like how old?
I don't remember. I wanted less than 9, I think.
Dang.
Maybe.
Did you get to see Weird Al? That's crazy. That's crazy, dude. Okay, well, then, do you remember at all what that show was like?
I remember bits and pieces of it. But, so yeah, I remember it. I don't know why I said, like, everybody has a catalog of everything that happened at every concert they went to. Yeah, I remember it pretty well.
Yeah. What was your favorite part about it? What do you reckon?
Honestly, costumes. Weird Al would just come on like every single song with a different costume, and it was amazing.
Dang, that's cool. That's cool. So you went to see Weird Al. I went to a metal show. And the metal show I went to, there were two opening acts for it. One was like relatively small, I guess. It only filled up like maybe a third or to a half of the standing room. And then there was a big headliner that's they're called In Flames, right? The other band was Torch, and then In Flames came on, and they're a pretty big act. They had Chris Broderick in their band, who was at one point the lead guitarist for Megadeth, so they've got some big names in there. And then Meshuggah came on. And let me just say, that show was loud. All three acts. It was really, really loud. I think that's the one thing I'll always remember, is just that I was never really able to distinguish notes very well, but the experience was so intense. Like, I was right there when the pit started. I got in the pit. Like, we were standing right there. I managed to force my way up to the front at one point for the Meshuggah set list. I loved it. And something I kind of want to talk about is because, Miguel here, he's pretty introverted, I suppose you could say, right? He recharges by himself pretty much all the time. And I can sort of be the same, but I like being around large groups of people to kind of rejuvenate myself a bit more. And that show, I mean, probably the biggest spending of energy that I've had in basically ever, because it was very intense. And so, like, it's two wildly different kinds of concerts. I know you get Weird Al and Meshuggah, right? But I wanted to compare the concert experience between those two basic types of personalities, because I thought it'd be interesting, because I just came from a concert. I'm like, oh, I want to talk about my experience. So, where exactly were Riverside Municipal Auditorium? And that show sold out a few days before the actual show happened. And you know, it was cool. It was like knowing that I'm going to the sold out show. It's like, and like having bought the tickets like, I don't know, 5 months in advance. It's like a long wait for the hype and stuff. And so it was pretty crazy. I think the weirdest thing about that show, to be honest, is like being in the pit and then looking up and seeing all these balcony seaters, because like in the auditorium it's a ballroom, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got this massive floor with the stage in front, and then you've got balcony seats on top and then seats underneath, and then in the middle, right in front of the seats, is where the lighting crew sits, and then all the rest of the people are out there in the middle. And being in the middle and looking up and seeing all of the people in the balcony thing was kind of funny, because there's people with their cameras and stuff, like recording songs and stuff, and they're all like they're mildly chill, and it's very contrasted to the stuff that happens down in the middle. Like, I remember when Rational Gaze came on, half the floor lost it. It's just like the whole floor just became a mosh pit, and it was so crazy. But it was weird, because I had considered getting the balcony seats, because it was like the tickets that I had gotten were actually relatively cheap to begin with, and the balcony seats were only like maybe $10 more. So I was like, you know, like maybe like, I don't know, just get the balcony seats. But I'm like, nah, I gotta go all in. And I don't know how loud your show was, but I didn't wear earplugs, and I didn't get my hearing back until like noon the following day. So I get out of that show and it's like 50%. Huh? Oh. Hey, yo. Thank you. I don't remember subscribing to American Musical, but I have a catalog now.
Oh. All right.
I have a catalog with stuff in it, so that'll be good to look at later, I suppose. Anyways, yeah, no earplugs for the show, and even when the first act came on, like, I knew I had made some kind of mistake, because okay, so let me nerd out a little bit, if I may, because I know that this first part of the show is going to be practically about me, right? But basically, what the first band had full stack for all their instruments. So it was the drums, and then 2 guitar cabinets and the head on either side, and then the bass on one side. And that in and of itself was already really, really loud, because it's got to be like at least 200-watt cabinets for each guitar, probably 200s, and the heads themselves are pretty powerful. And then when In Flames come on, I think all the rig is in the back, because they have a lot more lights on stage, and so the rig is piped into the PA. And it's kind of similar with Meshuggah, because I'm pretty sure for this tour they're still using their digital modeling amps that just go straight into the PA. Like, I think they're still using Axe-Fx for touring, but anyways, the sheer noise, it was so loud. Like, I remember when they were sound checking the guitars, and it's just like, oh no, what have I got myself into? And like, I didn't bring earplugs because I didn't even think of it. My parents didn't remind me of it. And then Dad texted me like halfway through the show. He's like, hey, did you find a way to get earplugs? And I'm like, they don't sell that at the show. So,
oh, no.
Yeah. I was talking to one of my buddies that I took after that. He said his hearing hadn't recovered like 3 days after the show or something. It was insane. I don't know how loud your show was, but it's like
not that loud.
Yeah. Very different from the only other concert that I've ever been to, which was the one you went with me to. I think it was actually, it counts as a concert, I think, right? That Western show we saw in Colorado.
Oh, I guess, yeah. I guess 2 concerts.
Because it's not dinner theater, but we had dinner, and then there was like a performance afterwards. But it was like,
I guess technically,
a band. So like,
I guess technically, yeah.
Yeah, that didn't compare at all, because it's like even if like, I don't think you probably could get that loud in there anyway. I don't think they would let you, but you remember it. Like, it was, yeah. It wasn't like that crazy, and we were up in like the front row. Like, we had the benches right up close to the stage, so it wasn't like,
Yeah, we didn't have to yell at each other to talk.
Yeah, yeah. And then, meantime, I'm screaming at my friends, and they're like, "Huh?"
Yeah.
So it was pretty insane. Pretty insane time. Just yeah, wanted to say I had my first metal show and it was great. And the people there were really good too. Like they actually the people there were really funny. Like I don't know how crazy was your show? Was there like smoking and stuff, and was there like a lot of
Oh.
mad people and stuff?
Well, not mad, but there's definitely smoking. Again, though, to be fair, it is Washington State. Like, you're gonna
Well,
find
yeah.
that anywhere. It's
Yeah.
the West Coast, okay? It doesn't matter where you're gonna go. There's
Yeah.
gonna be some people doing that.
Oh yeah, dude. By the time we got out, like we couldn't even see the stage clearly because of all the smoke that was there. All the weed. Holy cow! It's like I was trying to force my way up to the front, and this guy had just lit up a joint right in front of me. And so as I pass him and like look around, he turns towards me as he sees me coming from behind him and puffs the whole thing right in my face. And I just take all of it in. I almost choked and fell. Oh, it was so bad. It was so. I don't regret the experience, but it's like that one moment. It's like now I know what it's like. That's what weed is like. Oh, it was so bad.
He was just trying to share, bro.
Seriously.
By breathing smoke in somebody's face.
Yeah. Yeah, he just gave it all to me basically. It's like he could have just given me the joint and it would have done the same thing.
Just like,
But yeah, there was a bunch of crowd surfing too. Like I helped people up on the heads of people and move them up to the front, which was great. And it's interesting because if you ever do go to a metal show, which you probably won't unless I pay you to go
That
with
is
me,
true.
it won't happen. Like because I don't know, your bottom payment's gonna be like $200 or
Yeah.
something. I don't know, but it's like
You need to buy a ticket and then like also pay me the same amount that you bought that ticket for. You can match the
Yeah.
price, I'll go.
yeah. But I'll tell you that if somehow that ever happens, the pit. Like as violent as it looks, because I'm sure you've seen videos and pictures of pits before. It's a lot of theatrics.
Yeah.
So what winds up happening is that you're in there, and if you fall, the people just pull you right back up so that you don't get trampled.
Yeah.
And the pushing around isn't actually that hard unless you're being pushed around by like a really big guy.
Yeah.
But most of the time, when I got pushed around, it wasn't that bad. And if you want to get out, just signal like with hands up or something, and people will pull you out because the people in the pit won't let you leave. Like, it was so crazy to the point that during the Meshuggah set, there was a figure 8 pit, is what I call it. There was a main pit in the middle, and then there was a smaller pit up in front that kind of connected with it. And so that happened. And then there was a pit off to the right side, which was actually like violent. So like the security guards had to get in there and like escort people out because it was the right side people were crazy. Right next to the bar where they're selling all the drinks.
Right side supremacy.
Yeah, pretty much. It was so crazy. By the end of the show, the middle pit had a bunch of people like in the core of it, right? So it looked like a donut of people moving around a bunch of other people. And so it was a crazy experience. And with the noise and like the absolute like volume of all the music and stuff, it's just an experience I'll never forget, and I love every second of it. Someone brought their 4-year-old daughter to that show. Like the second band, In Flames, they oh, you froze.
Oh, I'm still
shoot.
here.
Oh, okay,
I'm
there you
still
are.
here for me.
Okay, so yeah, when In Flames came on, they actually played 2 songs from their upcoming album that hasn't been released yet. So that was really cool, and they dedicated one of them to the little girl because the dad had this 4-year-old daughter on his shoulders, and I guess he told her how to do the horns because she's putting them up, and the vocalist sees her, like shouts her out and dedicates the song, and the fans go nuts, and like I'm just sitting there like, who brought a 4-year-old girl to a metal show of this extremity. One of my friends said he saw some 8-year-old boy trying to like tear it up in the pit or something. It's like there's some crazy people, dude. Yeah, but it was cool at the end too because I almost fell over and got trampled the first time I went in the pit, and a guy pulled me out, and I thanked him for it and such, and told him it was my first show. And this is like midway through the set of like In Flames or something, and at the end of the entire thing, after everybody leaves and I got my pictures at the stage and stuff, we start to head out. And the guy finds me, and like he's leading 4 of his friends around. He finds me, he sees me, and he's like, "Hey, that's the kid." And they're all like, "Dude, is this your first show for real?" Like, yeah. And I got fist bumps from everyone, and it was such a cool experience. So it's like there's still some cool people in the scene, I suppose. So it's a very interesting experience. But the weed, by far, the weed was probably the smelliest thing there. Like, and there was sweat all over the floor too, and it's like just bodies hitting each other and slipping on like spilled beer and stuff. It's like, but there's this cloud of weed hanging over everyone. It's like, what was I expecting, right?
Is that what's really over LA? The smog isn't real.
No, the smog isn't real. It's just all weed. Yeah, it's weed, and it's like 80% weed, 10% nicotine, and like the rest of it's smog, maybe. You know,
LA.
Yeah, yeah. I was in Riverside, by the way, so it wasn't like LA. It was a nice part of the suburb, but still,
it's all LA.
Yeah,
and I can say that as somebody not from LA. So,
well, you've got Austin, so
I don't. I've been to
well, you're
Austin
not that close.
like once. I don't.
Austin's pretty bad though.
I don't know. As I said, I've been to Austin like once. I've been to LA more than I've been to Austin, so.
Oh my gosh.
Who knows?
Well, it's funny too because I got wristbands from the show, and then I bought a long sleeve on the merch website for the show, and then I got the wristbands and then the tour shirt. I got the T-shirt of the album cover, the new album cover with all the dates on the back for the North American tour, and I'm looking at them, and they played like 5 California dates, and then they take a travel day to go to Florida and Georgia. They go to Orlando and Atlanta for the last 2 shows, and it's like they have 5 California dates and then just go all the way over the other side of the country. It's like, man.
I mean,
and then
to be fair, I don't know how many like I don't know how much like Arizona and Oklahoma enjoy that type of music.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, it's like the spacing between all of the dates was insane. Like, and like they had already played Europe before, so this was the last leg of the tour. So I got to see them on the last leg of the tour, and so they're not touring again until Copenhagen 2023, and which is some festival stuff. So, yeah. But I got to see the heaviest metal band in the world and lost my hearing in the process. And I might still be suffering from it to this day. But, you know, for me, it's all worth it. It was totally worth it. I don't think I'll ever go to a show that can really match that intensity or coolness ever again. Because I don't think there will ever be another show that kills my ears like that.
I mean, who knows? You could just go to another one of their shows and...
If they're still touring and if they come out with another album in the next, like, 6 years, I don't know. Because they don't write songs while they're on the road. So after they're done on the road, they, like, take a break for a year or 2. Then they come back in the studio, take, like, 2-3 years to produce it, and then they release it. Because their last album before this one from April, Immutable, their last album, I think it's Violent Sleep of Reason, and that one was released in 2016? So it has been like 8 years since they, for like...
2016 was not 8 years ago.
I'm sorry, 6 years.
No, it was... I think it was... I don't know. All I know is that I don't like it. It's too far.
It's between albums?
No, 2016 is too far away. No.
It's been 6 years. It's been 6 years since
No.
2016.
Not
I
true.
know. Yeah, I know. I know. That was when Metallica released their last actual album too. We haven't received any new music from them, and Megadeth released a new album lately. It's been 6 years since 2016.
Well, sometimes you just gotta not release anything.
That sucks though, especially when COVID happens, because then actually nobody could release anything. Because what are you going to do with it? It's like you're not going
Yeah,
to be able to promote the project with a tour. So,
that's true.
because I think Megadeth was in the studio for their album in like 2019, and then COVID hit, and that delayed the project, and then they finally got it out in September. So yeah, that happened. Um, what's your perspective on such a crazy experience? Because I just want to ask, because now that I've talked about myself and my experience a lot, I want to know like how it would be for you to be inside something like that. What's your perception of this?
Concerts are not my thing. They are the antithesis of me exactly. Because A, you got a lot of people, which already I'm suspicious of. Second of all, it's really loud. Now, as opposed to popular belief, it's not really a popular belief because I don't think I've ever talked about this. I don't mind loud music, but I enjoy being able to hear. I think in general, it's something that I do enjoy. So that level of noise is. I think I've really only been to something somewhat that loud is whenever I went to a sporting event. That was fine. Honestly, I didn't really mind the noise. To be fair, as long as we don't go overboard, I'm cool with the loudness. Um, but then the second thing is that even in something like a small venue, to get rid of a lot of the people, then I just feel awkward because I don't want to be in a room alone with the people making the music. To me, I'm like, no, you stay in your tiny little box and give me my music. I don't. Bro, some of my friends went to a concert and like they're right up front in like a small room and they're in some of the pictures and I'm like, how are you not dying of anxiety? I don't understand.
Well, they went to like a small gig.
Somewhat small. Yeah, Rare Americans went on tour recently and they
Oh,
went to that and again, I don't really know concerts, so I can't really say if it really is that small, but it looks small to me.
mm.
Because I'm used to stadium concerts, so to be fair, it was probably like a normal sized venue to most bands, as most bands don't usually, get to perform in like stadiums. But
Yeah,
it was small. It was significantly smaller than a stadium. I'll say that. Um,
yeah. Mine wasn't a stadium. Like I said, it was a ballroom. I looked at the stadium tickets because they were playing in Hollywood Palladium, and I think that venue was like 250 a pop. I'm sitting there like, nah, I'll just go to
that
Riverside.
too. They're expensive, bro.
I got super lucky with my tickets. The standing room tickets were like 35 a piece, and I was like, I can get friends to come with me because I'm not gonna get my dad to come with me. Like as much as I've converted him into liking certain kinds of metal, he will never be able to like enjoy that kind of thing as much as I do because it's like no, it's too much. I get it. It can be too much for some people.
Another issue I have with the concerts, and this is just a weird thing to me. Um, almost I don't. How do I describe this? There is only one artist I've ever listened to that I've genuinely enjoyed entire albums from. This is probably just because I listen to usually weirder artists, but in general, my favorite artists tend to be pretty hit or miss with me, which is weird. I just really enjoy what works for me and am pretty apathetic to what doesn't. So there's also the issue is that like there's artists I genuinely love to go to see, but I also know that like some of their songs I'm just like, eh. And I don't want to like take a broom at a stadium to be like not paying attention for half the song. So
Yeah.
that's just me being quirky. I don't listen to all my favorite artist songs, so
Yeah.
that's an issue.
Or I'm the opposite, where if I'm gonna get into them, I gotta listen to like the whole discography before I can even make a judgment on how cool they are. Like if you send me an artist to listen to, like we were listening to music in the car one time, you and me, and you put on Poor Man's Poison. I was like, oh, this is really good. So I've been getting into them recently and trying to like listen to all of their stuff because I really liked the Feed the Machine song, or like Feed the Machine and Give and Take so far. Those are really good songs. I like them. It's so different because I don't know where to categorize it.
Yeah, that's where a lot of my stuff is. That's my favorite thing. Whenever people are like, "What genre do you listen to?" and I'm like, I don't have time to describe it to you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's complicated.
It's complicated. Yeah.
It's fun. I try to tell people that like Meshuggah is technically jazz because of the polyrhythms and the technical musicality of it. It's arguably jazz because even they don't call themselves metal half the time. They call themselves like alternative, progressive, extreme metal. So it's very niche, and they've said that too. Like their music is not for everyone, and it's very niche, and it kind of like takes a specific person to listen to this kind of music because it's so intelligent, I suppose. It's so technical. There was one song they played during the show that they've been doing recently, which they hadn't done for a while, so it was pretty cool. The song's like 14 minutes long because it's actually taken because it's not even the whole song. They have an album which is one entire song in 47 minutes, and they split it up between like 13 or 14 different tracks, and they just make cuts in the song, but it's all one song. It's called Catch 33. And so they play they play Mind's Mirror, In Life is Death and In Death is Death, or is In Death is Life. I don't remember, but it basically totals to like a 14-minute song live, and it's not even the full In Death is Death because the first half of that song, which is the longest split on the album, is like 13 minutes long. So they cut it in half on the album around like the 6-minute mark, and then it goes into like this dark ambience type stuff for the second half that leads into some other song. I think it's Shed, but yeah. So they play like a song for like a whole like 14 minutes, and it's like the endurance it takes, man.
All right, that is a long time.
Yeah, and then you gotta like be there, and the pit keeps going for the whole show. So the whole song, it's like, it's so weird to me. Like, and actually being there, it's so interesting because like I can't zone out of the song because it's too loud to ignore, and it's not like. That album isn't exactly the album that I listen to them the most from, so it's not the one I'm most familiar with. Like, I tried listening to the whole thing, like, before the show so I could prepare myself, because I'd seen the set list they were going to play, and it's like, oh, they're going to play Catch 33, so I got to prepare myself for it. And I still wasn't prepared for it, and I'm like, well, I can't just, like, skip the song in my head or something, so it's like, not that I would, but,
Yeah.
you know, it's amazing. It's amazing. I got so close to the guitarist too. I got so close to the rhythm guitarist, Martin. He's super cool, and I love him because he's one of the few band members. Like there's 5 of them, right? And only like 2 of them ever do interviews. It's the drummer and more recently the rhythm guitarist because he did practically most of the composition on the newest album. And it was so cool because I got up so close to him that when the lights flashed the right way, I could see the logo on his guitar headstock. And I could see every fret, and I could see the wedding ring on his hand. I could see everything. It was so cool. And I'll never have an experience like that again, man. It was so cool. Like I may never be able to see like the really big metal bands. Like may never be able to see Anthrax or Metallica or Megadeth, but you know, I saw Meshuggah.
You're happy. You're content.
I'm happy. Honestly, that's enough of a concert to last me the next like 10 years. the like that experience was so explosive. It's like, yeah, if I am never able to go to another concert ever again, I'm fine with that
Hmm.
because that's a core memory now.
Core memory.
Yeah.
What
It,
is if you could, what is a band you would like really just want to see in concert? What is your dream concert band that you'd want to go see?
well, it was Meshuggah, and I saw them
All
because I
right.
recently gotten like
Well then.
really, yeah,
Hmm.
yes. Yeah, so I well, because I've been getting really, really into them for the last like 6 months, and I love all their stuff. And because of them, I want an 8 string guitar so I can learn how to play the complexities in the lower tones because I like the lower tones and I want to learn how to play like them. So
Hmm.
I got to see basically my dream band already. If it was someone else, if I have to choose another band, which I'm assuming I am because I already went to see one.
Yeah.
um,
For the sake of the
um,
question, yeah.
yes. If I want to see everyone else, anyone else, and this is a band, not a solo artist. So, uh, gosh, honestly, probably considering all the bands that are still around and the members of whom haven't died already, like Pantera. Um, I think I'd see Megadeth. I think I could see Megadeth. Yeah, because they're a really cool band to see live. Um, yeah, yeah, I'd see Megadeth. Yeah.
Makes
Who's the
sense.
one band that like you really do? Because you alluded to that there was a band that like there was only like one group that you like genuinely want to see. So it's like,
I'm gonna eliminate him out because he's a solo act. Again, I listen to a lot of solo acts. I guess the closest I don't even think this counts as a band. It's technically a duo, but it's more than one person, so it counts. Um,
I guess, yeah.
would be Area 21. Um, it'd either be Area 21 or 21 Pilots. Those are weirdly similar names, but
Yeah, I was
didn't
gonna
really
say
think about that. But they are the biggest like bands, I guess, that I actually tend to like everything they do. But again, it's
nice.
also no, I guess rare. No, it'd be Rare Americans. I'm switching to Rare Americans. I actually like their stuff more
Cool.
consistently. It's just hard because again, it's like I the first struggle is finding a band that I'm not gonna be like, oh, this song I'm gonna tune out for this song.
Shoot, man.
My struggles as a weird person.
Hey, man. Well, I mean, it makes sense. You and I are completely different personalities, so like knowing that like concerts aren't even your thing to begin with kind of makes sense that you'd say something like that. But
Yeah.
like, how do you reckon like seeing a solo artist, and I'm not talking like a solo artist that got a band together and like formed his own
Hmm.
like solo group, like some bands back then did. I'm talking about like a solo artist like Buckethead, where it's like one guy, maybe featuring a few other musicians to help him out with songs, but it's basically the one guy doing his thing, like what Buckethead did for ages, just load up a bunch of backing tracks on the stage and just play guitar, or like Michelangelo Badio does sometimes. It's like what? Who do you reckon? Solo artists, and like how different would it be? Would it be like better to see in your opinion? Like, or is it like comparing apples to oranges?
Um, I guess it is apples to oranges because uh I don't know, it's weird because I think with bands, I think the real thing is that I just have a different taste in music. Like bands, I basically like whenever they can go all out in a way. Um, so I like Rare Americans because it's like I guess it's more rock. I guess I don't know. I like bigger sounds from bands, whereas I would say a lot of who I listen to as a solo act are more mood singers. So I think it is different, but for them, for a single act, I think I would just love to see Pigeon John just because I love everything he does. He's not
Ah,
actually my favorite artist. Again, because I'm weird. My favorite artist actually has quite a bit of work that I don't really appreciate. I think he just has a couple of really good songs that I really like.
interesting.
Yeah, I'm weird, but I don't know. Honestly, now I'm kind of interested. Now I kind of do want to go to a band concert and a solo artist concert and just compare the two. That's something I'd be willing to do. I'd be willing to go to concerts just to see the comparison. The dumbest
Would make a
reason.
video on it or something like.
Yeah. My experience.
That was so interesting. Yeah, yeah. Well, because it's like it's funny because like in my experience, typically with a lot of solo acts that I enjoy, they're either completely their own continuity, like since their start, or they were in a band for a while and like they did like one or two solo albums and then like get back in the band or part of another band,
Hmm.
or they're let's see, the solo project is all they're known for. They're known for being in a band with like maybe another album to the name. Like the examples that I can think of right now is like Buckethead, where like all he does is produce music, and it's like I'm just waiting until he hits album 400 or something because yeah, he's got that many albums. Um, and then there's like I don't know. I was really into Bon Jovi when I started really listening to music and when I started to play guitar. And then there was like a few solo albums from Richie Sambora, but mainly he was I knew him as the Bon Jovi guitarist until he left the band. Um, and then there's like solo acts that have I don't know a band behind them. It's kind of like Stevie Ray Vaughan, where like Double Trouble plays with him, but really you're going to see Stevie Ray Vaughan because he's the best blues guitarist in the world. And it's like it says Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble, but you're going to see the first guy, right?
Yeah, it's like Panic at the Disco or Maroon 5. They're technically bands, but are they really?
Yeah. Nah, not really.
It's like realistically, there's one person you're going for.
Yeah, 'cause there's one person to show for it.
Yeah, because there's only one person left.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. No, I got to see Men at Work. And they're like some like soft rock band from back then, I suppose. I don't know much about their work, but they had one show in Temecula at the South Coast Winery, and my aunt works there, and so she got me, my dad, her husband, and her son, and herself, all these like highfalutin balcony seats that like we were the only ones up there. And it was like a great view because we were like above everybody else. And it's like, it's not a big venue. Okay. There's like a few hundred people there, like maybe 200, 300 people. But like, it's a band. And the experience was really cool. Their music was pretty nice. I liked it. And like all the band members are either out of the band and don't want to be back in, or they're dead. So there's this one original band member left, and he's the main guy that everyone goes to see. It's Colin Hay. He's got his own solo projects. A decent portion of the set list was Colin Hay songs. The rest of them were Men at Work songs. But it's like it's one of those things where it's like you don't know any of the people that are playing alongside him, and there's like 6 members of the band. Like the only other person you know really might be his wife, which plays like not the keys, other instruments like the tambourine or something. His wife is part of the band. But yeah, it's really just Colin Hay you're going to see because he's the only OG member left, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's not like that for a lot of other groups that I like. Well, actually, it kind of is. I don't know. Because a lot of the OG members are kind of dead in a lot of the groups that I like.
Dude, how
Sad.
old are the people you listen to, man? I think I listen to older stuff than...
Man, I think the newest people I listen to is Disturbed. And I don't even listen to their new stuff. I love the Indestructible album and the Immortalized album. And those are the 2 albums that really I've only like bothered to like listen to the entirety of. No, that's not true. I've listened to the entirety of other ones, but those are the 2 I really like. And they're like the newest ones. And I'm pretty sure they're not even that new. Right? Like I'm pretty sure they're like they're 2000s, right?
Yeah, 2000s is not new.
Yeah, I know. That's the newest I could say. like as far as like actually like bands, not really solo artists, but like bands. That's it. Because like you know me, I listen to like classic metal a lot. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of Megadeth, it's a lot of Pantera, and Meshuggah started in '87, so they're really old. So like, you know, I saw an old band. Okay, I don't listen to anything new because nothing new takes with me. It has this certain luster and quality to the music that I just don't uh, um, vibe with as much. It lacks a sense of originality that I'm really looking for. So um, I just stick with the older stuff, and I try to find like the older tone really,
Yeah.
and make that my thing. Like when I play guitar, but nah, man, you know me. I haven't heard anything past like 2004 probably. Unless it's a solo artist like Buckethead maybe, but then it's like but that's a completely different conversation really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no.
Who is like band or solo artist? What is like one musical concert you would want to go to? Like if you could, I guess, time travel, but if just like anybody, if you could just see them in concert. And I'm gonna start off on a weird one. I have an infinity for Michael Jackson, and I would love to see it. I would actually be
Ooh,
super willing to do that, just
that would be a
because.
killer show to go to, dude. Would you go to see Michael Jackson when he had like back like when Thriller was just out, or would you see him while like Slash was playing with him or something? Like what era of Jackson you reckon?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not that into Michael Jackson anymore. So I honestly, I think Michael Jackson is unique enough that I'd be happy with any era. Honestly, I do not discriminate on Michael Jackson eras. I'll find something to like in all of them.
Yeah.
Maybe not the one where his hair caught fire. That would be a not.
Oh, oh, that's
I
funny.
wouldn't want to go to
Go,
that
no, you go to
one.
that show. You go to that show in particular.
No.
Gosh, for me, there's a lot. There's a lot of shows that I would love to go to if I could time travel. Because there's a lot. Because in my like realm of music, right, in metal, there's a lot of legendary shows that like you say the name of, and you're like, yeah, that show. Like, there's the Metallica concert in Seattle of 1989. There's the San Diego show in '92. There's literally any Pantera show, whether it was in a club or a stadium. I would love to see one of their club shows from the Cowboys from Hell era, but also seeing them in 2001 would have been great. Just to see like what it was like before 9/11 happened and then they broke up. But there's a ton of legendary concerts. I mean, I'd love to see a show. Okay, if it's just one, if I only get to see just one. Oh, there's Eddie Van Halen too. Back in the 5150 tour. Gosh, dang! I wish I could have seen Eddie Van Halen. But I think I would see any Ozzy Osbourne show while Randy Rhoads was still alive. Somewhere in the Diary of a Madman tour, because he only did 2 albums, which was Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman, the first 2 solo Ozzy records.
Mm-hmm.
But Randy was such an incredible guitarist, and though it doesn't look like it a lot, like in my videos and stuff, and I don't talk about it a lot, he has an enormous impact on my guitar playing. So I think if I could go back in the past and see any act, it would be Ozzy with Randy during the Diary of a Madman tour. I would love to see Randy Rhoads live.
Yeah.
Because he's like, he's the classical guitarist in a metal band, right? He's known for that guy, and like died at 24, dude. That's sad.
Dang.
He died in a plane crash. He got in a plane with his girlfriend and a friend that was piloting it, and the pilot thought it would be funny to buzz the tour bus, and he buzzed it a little too hard, and they crashed and everyone died. And that sucks for everyone because Ozzy and Randy were really great friends, and Randy was such a great guitarist. Man, so good. I would love to see Randy Rhoads live.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? Or you already said Michael Jackson, yeah.
Alternatively, also a Nirvana concert.
You didn't see Nirvana?
I'd see them. Yeah, it's again coming from Washington State. It's lifeblood. You know, you don't have a choice. You have to
Yeah.
be kind. You have to kind of like them. It's not an
Yeah.
option.
No, Seattle grunge is the thing, yeah. Yeah. That's funny. You'd go see. Yeah, you'd go see Nirvana. I guess that kind of makes sense, but that'd be a heck of a drug fest, dude. Like
Oh yeah.
way more than my show, dude.
Yeah, a lot more.
Like you would be getting high just off of the secondhand stuff, dude.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah, it'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't see you going to a Nirvana show, but at the same time, that makes a lot of sense.
I like the I do like. I like a lot of weird stuff. Okay, I'm unpredictable in what like. I do like a lot of like rock, as Spotify keeps telling me. I really like jock rock, which I don't think I do, but Spotify really thinks I do. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think you're misunderstanding what I'm listening to.
Spotify's algorithm can be messed up. Which, by the way, speaking of Spotify, we're on Spotify now. So this episode is going to be on Spotify. Great intro to the plug. We are on Spotify now, so find us there. Get us at least to 50 followers and listeners, please, and thank you. Plug over.
Spotify's threatening us. They're going to repossess our house if we don't get 50 followers in time.
Our house. Yes, our house, because we both own a house.
I don't know where it is or how we have it, but they are threatening us with it.
Yes.
So.
We have it somehow,
I'd like to figure out where it is before they take it, at least. So if you could help us get to that goal, that'd be...
It'd be nice. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, dude, yeah. Well, it's funny because, like, there's that Nirvana... It's funny because, like, in the music I listen to, everybody hates Nirvana because they started that thing where all, like, grunge killed metal, right? Mm-hmm. Because all the metal really, like, either faded from obscurity or everybody became soft, or the rare occasion like Pantera, where they released Far Beyond Driven and it charts at #1 somehow because it's by far the most abrasive album they ever produced. It's like it's Pantera, so it's like they persisted, but it's like it's weird because in my head there's two different kinds of grunge, where it's Nirvana on one hand, and then there's Alice in Chains. And I really love Alice in Chains because to me that's real grunge, because it's heavy, it's actually sludgy, and it's not a lazy kind of sludge. It's like it's grunge, and so I've never really taken to Nirvana that well because it feels kind of it feels like what Billie Eilish is now, or like how always has been. Like for some reason there's a connection in my head between Nirvana and Billie Eilish that I cannot separate.
I can see it. I can see that.
And since I really don't like Billie Eilish's music at all, I really can't stand Nirvana's music at all because I have this like musical connection. So I love Alice in Chains because it's the same Seattle grunge type of thing, but it's much more intense, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like you know Alice in Chains, you know what I'm talking about. Right?
I've heard of them. Yeah, I think I'm vaguely aware of it. Mostly my knowledge, my listening to of Nirvana basically comes from my dad, who got into like that kind of, not necessarily grunge, but alt rock. If anyone's ever listened to the Cranberries before, that's what he listened to, and so Teen Spirit especially, less so the rest of the album for Nirvana, I will give it that. But even then, it's kind of, he listened to a lot of Cranberries, and that got him into Nirvana, so I happened to grow up also listening to Nirvana, so that just kind of stuck with me.
Makes sense, yeah. Yeah.
So
What is
again,
really your musical experience, really? Because I know that you're not a musician, and you're kind of like more of a casual musical fan. Would you call yourself that?
yeah, I
So it's like how does your musical experience and like journey really like happen? Like where's the like how do you even listen to music, right? Like as a casual who's like hopefully gonna pick up an instrument, but like probably will never pick up an instrument in his life
I will
because
probably
you're
not.
you.
I will probably not pick up an instrument, but I do have a passing.
Well, that's not true. You did pick up an instrument that one time. I want to leak that photo.
What is?
that
Oh,
James Hetfield guitar from that
yeah,
Guitar
where I'm
Center.
like awkwardly standing there. That's a great picture.
Can I post that somewhere with like no context?
Yeah.
I'll censor the face because I know you want the big face reveal at some point. But it's like I. It's so funny. It's so funny to see you with that guitar. Okay, for context, I was up in Washington with him, right? And I was in a Guitar Center, and he came to pick me up, and I was playing this metal guitar, right? It's the James Hetfield guitar, Metallica's signature guitar. It's a huge guitar, and it's pointy and everything, and it's nice and black, and it's sleek, and it was matching the shirt and the outfit that he wore, which was some like Sasquatch shirt. You still got that, right? The coffee stained Sasquatch Believe shirt.
Yeah, I wore it to like I wore it to something where I was acting as the vice president for an organization. And I'm just walking around with my Believe in Sasquatch shirt. It was great.
Oh, that's beautiful. No, and he picked up that guitar, and the pictures we took of him, he looks so lost because like he can't even like figure out what to do with it because it's as big as him.
The closest thing to a guitar I've held is the Guitar Hero guitars, alright?
I feel like that's a lot of people, to be completely
That
fair.
is fair.
Guitar Hero and like not actual guitar, but everybody's like, oh, Guitar Hero, you know?
Yeah, for the record, I also wasn't very good at Guitar Hero, so.
Ah.
Um, so my music is weird because, again, like everything in my life, basically my personality didn't unlock until I was like 14, so got off to a bit of a slow start. But dad, my dad listened to a lot of hip hop, but as a lot of older hip hop was, that isn't something that I've been introduced to do until recently because, fun fact, doesn't tend to be appropriate for children. Shockingly, I know. But
Wow, you don't say.
other than that, he listened to a lot more older alternative rock, like the Cranberries. In fact, mostly the Cranberries. We constantly make fun of him for that, like the only thing that comes up on his playlist. And my mom also listened to like 2000s pop-ish and some
What does
older
that
alternative.
entail? Is that like?
Taylor Swift, Adele.
Oh,
that
okay.
stuff.
So I was thinking like, was it Lady Gaga or was it Taylor Swift? I couldn't.
I think Lady Gaga too. Basically everything. That stuff's fine. But then also, my dad also listened to like some older 80s and 70s pop. And so that deeply ingrained this idea that music could sound weird in my head because if you've ever listened to that stuff, I don't know what was going on in the 80s and the 70s, but
Well, it's what kind of pop you're listening to. Like
Yeah.
if it's disco pop, it's it's abhorrently simple to the point where like I'm like this is what all the like it's not abhorrently simple, but it's still simple to the point where I can't listen to it.
no, I
But-
hate dance music like that. I only accept 2000s dance music. Everything else is too repetitive, and I want to die anytime I hear it.
Oh yeah. So like disco pop or like EDM? Because like
All of
EDM
it.
is good. There are some
I give
EDM
EDM a
songs that they
bypass.
play at like every party that man has like ever set up that can still be
Right.
cool.
I give EDM a pass. The only time I get annoyed by EDM is whenever they try and combine it with other things like Marshmello in any band he collaborates with. Please make it stop.
Well, so you don't like Daft Punk or something? Well, because
No,
that's not
yeah.
pop music. That's house music. That's completely different.
Yeah, that's different. I think there is a way to combine it, but I think I have EDM itself a pass because it kind of treated us differently. But like, yeah, disco dance and like a lot of the '80s or '70s dance song. I don't know. It's way too repetitive for me. It makes me want to cry.
Yeah.
But so with all of that, I always had an affinity for more hip hop music, so I got into that actually through a talk show called Wits that used to be on NPR that was sadly canceled. They would have like musical and celebrity, I guess celebrity guests and just kind of mess around for an hour. And through there, I learned about a rapper named Open Mike Eagle. So I started listening to him, and he's my favorite artist. Again, I don't like all of his stuff, but there's some really good ones that I love. So I found him, and through him, I kind of opened up this gateway into older rappers, people like Del the Funky Homo Sapien, Gorillaz, which isn't technically a rap group, but they just have a lot of guest star rappers, so I throw them in
Right.
there. Them themselves are not, but they work with a lot of them, so they're usually classified as alternative hip hop. Um, LL Cool J, he's a classic, okay? But
No.
then
Oh wait. Is that Cool J? I think I've heard of that.
he was really popular, and now he's an actor,
Oh.
which is like a weird thing that all older rappers have become. I don't know, man.
He's got weird lifestyles, man.
Yeah. But so that I got into hip hop, and I listened to. I was never into mumble rap. I understand why people like it,
I don't.
but it
I
was yeah.
mumble rap. It's no.
It was never for me. It doesn't hit hard enough, in my opinion. That's my real thing, is that I just don't think it can get the energy levels that I think
Yeah.
hip hop can excel at.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of where I was. I still like alternative rock. And again, it's hit and miss. I actually like a lot of what Imagine Dragons did. I'm not an Imagine Dragons hater. I know a lot of people really despise them, but honestly, I will say that there's nothing wrong with making commercial music. Except Thunder. I hate that song with a burning passion.
Okay. Listen, let me go off for a bit, okay? Because my history with Imagine Dragons goes back to when, like, I remember when I heard Imagine Dragons for the first time. Somebody I knew that like really loved Imagine Dragons, like right, like he's from my church or something. And he shows me Imagine Dragons, and he's like the first song I have to hear from this group is Thunder. It's like that was my introduction to it, and because of that, I've hated everything they've ever done. Because in my head, I'm like, these are the guys that made Thunder. The worst song, not even written. I don't even think there's writing in it. There's the worst song just ever. Like I can't even with these guys. Okay, like I get that some people think that like the beats are like really hard hitting, and there's like these electronic drums that's like so like heavy and stuff, and I'm like. It sounds like a music for a commercial is what I like. I know like you said like commercial music isn't probably like popular music, but like in my head it's like for a really bad commercial, like an actual ad. I hate it. I hate Imagine Dragons.
I understand it. Again, I cannot defend them on Thunder. A lot of my friends who got me into Imagine Dragons like played it. No, it's just an awful sounding song. I can't defend it on anything. Thunder is just a bad song. But I actually haven't listened to a lot of what they do recently because I've moved on to more hip hop. But earlier albums were better. I think Smoke and Mirrors is actually pretty good. What's the Believer is an okay song. It again.
That's almost as.
I think Thunder is way worse. Believer actually has energy behind it.
Maybe.
Thunder is I don't want to talk about Thunder. Thunder.
Whatever it takes has some energy behind it, and like, but that's about it for me. It's like that's about as far as it exists. Or maybe I'm so sorry, but
I like
whatever.
I'm so sorry. I do like I'm so.
There was a video out on the internet where they fused like bits and pieces of every Disney villain to the beat of "I'm So Sorry," like some kind of like animated music video. Chin reveal, drinking, drinking a sip. Yep. Okay. Anyways, there was a video that synced up with the beat so well that I got into it. So I'm like, you can make a song sound better if you get the visuals right. Like, of course,
I
because
imagine.
yeah,
I think a lot of Imagine Dragons stuff is soundtrack music is a better description for it. So if you can find something that it works well with, I think you can do it. Again, I found, especially Believer, I found it through a lot of stuff where there was something else playing over it. So I will say that if you can find something you can link it to visually, it works a lot better.
oh yeah.
That's all I say is that like I think there's a lot of music that is completely separate from whatever visuals you attach to it, but that I think
From there's a song for the Cars 2 soundtrack, which yes, Cars 2 is a bad movie. It is a bad movie. It's not very well made at all. But there's this Weezer song in it that is linked up with a really good scene, I think. And I don't like Weezer, you know. I don't think their music's that cool. It's not a great song by like any musical means, really. But it was with the memory I have of it in my head, with the scene that it is in the movie. I enjoy it, which is really interesting about music, because if you have visuals to certain stuff, then your experience with it is completely different. Like I've got so many songs like that from my childhood where it's like there's songs that I just technically shouldn't like based on like everything else that I don't like, but that I like because of something else. Like the soundtrack for Cars. It's got a few Brad Paisley songs in it. He's a country artist. I shouldn't like it, but I love it. Okay? It's like there's a Sheryl Crow song. I don't think I've ever heard any Sheryl Crow song other than the song in Cars. But like, you know, that's the one song.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I will say, okay, sorry, I have to go back to this about EDM.
Yeah.
I know EDM and dubstep are not the same things. Bear with me, casual listener, not from the thing. They bear a resemblance. So, to me, they are linked in the same grander category, right? Which
Okay.
I think of as electronic, which basically just means, to me, tends to be instrumentals with more, synthesizers than anything. Well, maybe not than anything, but that feel. So I know they're not the same, but they're linked to me. There's game soundtrack of Subnautica. Again, I just really like it, so I also give EDM and that stuff a slide for dance stuff, just because I really like this specific category. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's like, and then there's like synthwave stuff too, like what we like Shikimo, like the guy we interviewed. You know, like his stuff's pretty cool. You know.
Yeah.
It's chill.
Yeah.
But
Again,
it's like, yeah.
Again, like you said with Imagine Dragons, I think you can tell whenever someone's making stuff to be popular music. I guess that's what it is for me, is that I tend to not like. I think a lot of people don't tend to like things whenever they're specifically made to be popular, but I don't tend to hold that against things. I don't know what it is. I just don't hold it against people for making things that are meant to be popular. I think it's better when they don't. Which is probably a reason why I like a lot of less popular people. Just because, by nature of not being as popular, they have to do something different. So, but I understand that's like, if you're making the popular stuff, not even pop. I wouldn't even count pop as that, because pop is a weird genre.
Pop is literally abbreviated for popular.
Right, but it's like hip hop overtakes it, so like, is hip hop and rap pop now? Like
I don't know,
confusing,
man.
That's what,
yeah.
I guess that's my real issue with like things like mumble rap too. It has its place. It will never be my thing, but I think a lot of people just use it because that's what's popular. and people are just writing to be
Why it's
popular.
popular, I have no idea.
I don't know either.
It's funny because my entire experience with like rap is probably summed up in like Gangsta's Paradise. And then like my experience with hip hop is that one song from the 2013 Killer Instinct soundtrack. I showed you that one. It's the one with Omega Sparks in it.
Right.
It's that one where you said it's more of a techno song than anything. It's a rapper being featured in more of a techno song, which
Yeah.
I mean it pretty much is. But that's basically my experience with like that whole field of it, because it's not something I've ever gotten into, because so much of it has been missed for me.
Yeah.
That like then there's that one good song that I like where it's like, okay, like I like that Omega Sparks song from Killer Instinct, and then that's like basically it. And then Gangsta's Paradise, because Gangsta's Paradise.
Yeah, that's you can't not like that song.
You're not allowed to not like that song.
Yeah. So I guess yeah. I guess the thing about everything that I like and what I'm saying is that I think what tends to happen is whenever you're writing a song to be popular, you just can't get much energy behind it because you're trying to make it pleasant for everybody. And I think that's the real thing that I like. I just like it when people have energy with their songs. That can be any energy. Open Mike Eagle is not really that energetic or pumped up of a person. He's not a mumble rapper, but he's a pretty moody rapper. Mm-hmm. I'll say that. But there's actual emotion and energy behind it. But then I also love people like the Flowbots, who are basically all energy. Every single they're rock rap basically. So like everything they do has very big energy to it. So I guess that's what I say, is that if a song has energy to it, I'll probably like it in some regards, even if it's not my thing. But yeah, people like Billie Eilish. I don't hate her, but it's just, I don't know, it doesn't have
energy
that energy
in Billie Eilish music.
Yeah,
there's nothing to latch onto.
I'm fine with Bad Guy as a song. I'll give her that. That's like I don't despise its existence. I don't listen to it, but I'm not mad at it. It's not something I actively avoid. Oh no. Oh no, you really hate her, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Alright, give us your reasoning. I want to hear this. Give us the hot take.
Okay. Part of it stems from because my aunt liked her, so it's automatically bad because I hated everything my aunt ever played for me at one point. So if she ever brought something up to me, I would just hate it flat out. Like, I wouldn't even listen to it. It's just like, no, I don't trust you to give me good music. But no, but it's like, it's so weird because there's the production to me is so like minimal and stripped to where it's like it's a few electronic sounds. It's a very simple beat, and it's like and the voice. Oh my gosh, the voice reminds me of ASMR stuff. I hate ASMR stuff because it's like it's so quiet and like it feels like a lazy way to hit all of the notes that she does. Because, of course, it's easier to hit stuff when you're not, like, pushing so hard. But that's why hitting the notes when you're pushing so hard is cool. Because you're putting effort into it. It doesn't sound like she's putting any effort into it. And then it sounds like she's kissing the mic. I can hear all of the noises that happen in a person's mouth when they talk. It's... I can't. And then the production, like, again, it's so minimal, and the musicality of it is so weird. That's why Bad Guy is, like, the only, like, half tolerable song, but even then it's not even that good because, like, there's a catchy rhythm or something, okay? That turned it into a meme song, okay? And meme songs are either really bad or they slap, okay? That's, like, the rule of thumb for any musical meme, okay? Which is funny because then there's like the coffin dance meme song, which musically is like like completely disinteresting at all. But the visual of it makes it so engaging. There's nothing to latch onto with Billie Eilish other than this emo dragging feeling. I hate the dragging feeling. Like, I'm fine with like a. It's funny because I've listened to music that has a dragging feeling but also has energy to it. It's a weird thing, I know, and like shouldn't be together, but they've somehow like it's somehow managed to be like both together and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just all drag for Billie Eilish, and I just can't stand it. It's like, to me, it's like what goes on. It's like this must be the noise of what goes on in the head of like your average 14-year-old girl. I just can't with it. Okay.
That's
Am I
been the
good
hot
now?
take. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I don't know. I don't listen to enough Billie Eilish to really hate it or anything. It takes a lot for me to genuinely despise an artist. So,
Who do you despise then? Who has pulled you to the brink of absolute hatred for them?
I don't.
Who's committed the ultimate sin?
I don't think there's any artist I necessarily like just outright hate. I'll find one eventually, trust me. But I think out of everybody, I'm sorry, but Kanye and Drake, I don't understand how they're as popular as they are. It's not even that
Same.
I like necessarily don't get the appeal. I understand it, especially when Kanye. I can hear why people like it. There's just so many better artists that I'm
For real.
like, why are these the two most popular ones? There's so many other people who deserve to be up there. But no, it's these two buffoons.
Exactly. It's like, I don't like Drake, and then Kanye. Okay, Dad came up to me one day and he's like, "Okay, son, bear with me. Kanye's gospel album." And I'm like, Dad, you don't know what you're getting yourself. You don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, no. Like, and he played me one of the song, and it's like this recreation of Southern Black gospel choir, right? Which is okay. But since it's Kanye, there's an element to it that I really cannot stand. There is something about a rapper and this accent, this dialect that rappers have grown to like adapt in their voice that just grinds on me. It grinds on me almost as much as the modern pop male singer, where every vocalist sounds the same.
Yeah.
Everybody sounds the same, which is why hip-hop is so cool, because there's actually a distinction between voices, and I can actually tell if it's a Pigeon John song or not. That's actually why I like the Pigeon John songs you sent me.
Yeah,
He sounds awesome.
they're so unique. Yeah.
Pigeon John is awesome. I can't stand stuff like it's like why can't you make stuff more like Gangsta's Paradise, where it mixes stuff like that, but then there's also this really nice like harmonic voice singing a pretty difficult line to actually sing right. Like, and I can actually sing along with a tune kind of okay. Like, I'm not the worst singer in the world, but I wouldn't call myself a singer. And it's difficult to actually hit it all right. And with the feel that guy has,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Like, why can't you make some more like that? And then like, you know, Southern Black Gospel Choir is awesome. I don't like the way Kanye reintroduces it. Probably because it's Kanye, and I know people are going to hate me for that because, you know, oh, you're just hating stuff because it's Kanye, or you're just hating stuff because it's Billie Eilish. I don't care. I just can't. It hurts my head.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah, they're really the only two, because I think most other artists aren't. I don't think there's just really no music that I like just hate to hear. It's more just like, I'm like, all right, I don't really like it. I guess realistically, if I had to listen to the radio, right, I would probably hate a lot of artists. I'll give it that. It's the fact that I don't have to hear the songs That's probably the
Like,
real reason why I don't dislike
you
artists.
seem like the kind of guy who would shy away from the radio at all costs. I don't know why you would, but you just seem like that kind of guy.
The radio is big dumb. I don't want to listen because again, I like listening to small people, so it's like nothing on the radio is gonna be from my favorite artists because all my favorite artists are either like stopped making music a while ago or just aren't big enough to get on the radio. I'm just not
Yeah.
attracted to like Billboard charts. I don't know.
No,
Again,
it's a bad parameter.
it feels like more than often it's just the stuff made to be popular, which sometimes can be good. Again, I don't hold it against it, but it's like okay, I don't know. It's hard to get invested in super famous people, I guess. Really,
Yeah.
the one, really the only like big person that I actually really like is Macklemore, and even then, his popularity in the 2020s, he, there are definitely some people who remember he exists. But yeah, that's about it.
Oof. Dang, dude. Okay, well, I want to ask you about this because I'm interested to hear what you have to say about this because I have my own, possibly scathing remarks about this. I don't know. Okay, so you know the show Stranger Things, right?
Yeah,
I haven't watched it,
neither of
but
them, for the record.
okay, I don't want to watch it, but there's a band that I like that had a song put in it that for the first time in its almost 40 years of existence got put on the radio. Okay. I gotta give some context for why I'm gonna say what I'm about to say. There's a guy I used to work with at the shop, and he was an old metalhead, right? So, but he was the kind of metalhead that listens to a lot of smaller bands, like not the metal that would try to force its way to the mainstream, because back when metal started, and especially thrash metal, when it was like really trying to go, it was so angry at all the popular stuff from LA that like everybody would move up to San Francisco and try to beat out the charts that way through like their sheer rage. And I mean, some of the times
Yeah.
it worked. I mean, look where Metallica got. I'm getting there. The guy that I talked to, he really likes Megadeth because they're a lot smaller than Metallica. And because a lot of their riffs are a lot more technical, they're harder to play. It's a different mood, and it is more niche than Metallica. Metallica, as angry as they once were, maybe can still be. They're still mainstream metal-ish. It's basically mainstream thrash metal. It's not what thrash metal used to be. Metallica used to be like the guys that would carry the banner of like screw the popularity buzz, right? Like we'll get popular without the need for radio play, without a need for a music video. They didn't have a music video for their first 3 albums, and they would go up so high that to the point where they were opening for Ozzy Osbourne, and Ozzy would say, I had to work so hard on stage because those guys kept outplaying me before I got on. And people would start coming to my show to see Metallica. They would see my show to see them. And it's like, that was cool. The first 3 albums really retained that. 4th album, they released 1 music video for their song One. And that angered a lot of people because it felt like because everyone felt like they were selling out. But it's by far their angriest record. Mostly due to the fact that their old bass player had died in a bus crash. And so they kind of took it out on the new bass player by removing all of the bass, thus making it sound less angry, but it's still a very visceral album. And they retained that mood for ages, even when their 5th album was released, which is still their most popular album, the Black Album, Metallica. You know it. You've seen it. You've heard at least one song from it. You've had to. It's that popular. But then they toned down. Point is that fast forward like 36 years or something, Stranger Things puts Master of Puppets, their fan-rated best song, which is very fitting because the entire album was the first metal album to be put into like the National Congress Library of Music or something. It received like all the honors. Master of Puppets is literally like one of, if not the best metal album ever made. So they get the song Master of Puppets into Stranger Things, and everybody has this huge backlash on it because now it's getting attention on Spotify again. And for the first time ever, the entire 8.5-minute song gets played on the radio. Back when Metallica's thing was to be big without radio play because they would make purposely long songs to not get played on the radio, because they didn't need it. They didn't need it.
Yeah.
They play the entire song uncut on the radio now, and everybody hates it because it's like new people doing like new people reintroducing old music instead of like actually making new intelligent music. They're just ripping off old bands. Metallica themselves actually promoted it a ton, and they got to meet the actors, and they were like, "No, back off." And like it was so big, like BC Rich made signature guitars of the Stranger Things things. It's like $6,000 guitars. It's not worth it at all because all it is just a standard Warlock with a Stranger Things on the back plate, like the part you can't even see. But I want to know what you think of that whole thing, where like they bring back old music for a new thing because I don't know whether it's that's all they have or something. I want to know your thoughts on this before I say my thing.
All right, so as somebody who's admittedly with none of my really favorite ones, nothing similar has really happened. But personally, I don't mind it. I think that like whenever you have a really big hit, I guess that's one thing that I also like about smaller ones is that smaller bands is that sometimes you get like a really big hit, right? Sometimes it's like a one-hit wonder type thing. But anyways, I think the problem is that a lot of the times whenever a band hits that, they always try and top it or they try and match it for the rest of their careers. And I think sometimes that can just fail horribly because they're forever stuck in its shadow. So right. I don't mind that an old song of like one of my favorite ones would be reintroduced and remain their most popular song instead of doing new ones, because I would rather them still, like stick to an old good song than continually try and top it for the rest of their careers. So I'm kind of with the band on this one that I personally, I guess I could be annoyed by new uncomers and doing like, you only joined when they're sold out phase or bandwagons. Honestly, to me, it's like if the band's getting recognition for what they did well, I don't really care where it came from because they still did it. Maybe I'd prefer them make new music because I want to hear what else they still have in store. But for me, I think that's like it's still a good song. They still deserve it. I would rather them redo this than struggle with a new album entirely trying to match it or top it, because I think that just leads to, again, not trying to create something good, but trying to create something popular. So I'd rather them backtrack and focus more on their older music that, is good and say that, like, hey, we're going to use this because we still think it's the best we've done. Well,
it wasn't the band that like used the song in the show.
Right.
They just like got the rights to the song or something.
Right, but I just think that I don't have an issue with it. If it's an old song but still good, band deserves recognition. I think it's great that it can maintain its popularity. Even stuff like Let's Groove Tonight. I know that's not the name of the song, I don't think. But stuff like that, but like older music that's been sampled recently. I think it's cool that we still remember those songs. At the very least, that's made me go, I want to go back and listen to those songs because I like those songs. And yeah, it would be better if you made your own thing, but it's like if you're doing it creatively enough, it's like, it's like I'm just glad we can still appreciate that those are good songs and not trying to embarrass ourselves by matching them, which I do think most of the samples do. I'll do that. I will say that, but
yeah,
I don't mind resurrecting songs from, I guess, the dead, I guess is the point. What do you think? As a fan, as our resident metal boy, as our resident metal man, how do you feel?
Um, I I don't know. I'm very conflicted about it because um, there's a lot of it's it's weird because there's a lot of sub areas of the fan base that would try to just not let you in the fan base at all
Mm-hmm.
because you're so late to the party, and like some people will just outright not like that any new kid likes the old music, which
Yeah.
is totally weird because old people complain all the time about how new kids music is so bad and we should fall back on the classics more and take more inspiration from that. But I don't like how it's used in a show in the way that it was used. Um, I think it's just a cash grab and a complete fan service like meltdown. Um, but I but then again, it's like a way of presenting to the new generation um what was cool back then. But it's not like maybe it makes people pick up the guitar and learn that song, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm highly conflicted on it because on the one hand I want to be angry because like I don't know. There's something unfair about it that's difficult to explain. And then like enjoyers of the show are going to
Mm-hmm.
be like whatever. But I I don't like it. I think my final decision at the end of the day is that I don't like it because I don't like the way it's presented. I would much rather they do it the way there was a moment in Dragon Ball Z. There's a character whose entrance theme is Tens by Pantera. And that is a rare song that's a deep cut on not their most known album. And because of that, that's pretty respectable. Because it's still a great song, but it's not a well-known song by the band. Even if you know the band, you won't. You probably like if you know who the band is, you're not gonna know what Tens is.
Yeah.
But so I think that like I'm not saying like they should have used a deep cut song from Metallica, but I also think that they kind of should have just
There are better options that you think it would
because
have been better.
yeah, because even if Master of Puppets is the best song that the band has, which I'll say arguably it is because it sounds like a deep cut song and it's technical, it's hard, it's long, it's 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 a savage song. It's not something that everyone would listen to, but now it's becoming something that everyone listens to, and and this is where I get into agreeing with what the old metalheads told me, where it's kind of call it boomer, maybe it's boomer. I don't know. It's like they say that if like that kind of metal is not supposed to be popular.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be all small. It's supposed to be the really good band that only a few people know about. And that was the thing back in the 80s when metal really kicked off. You saw a lot of old thrash metal bands small. And like you held on to that because that gave the fans something a lot more personable to really latch onto. It gave them a better experience knowing that the band was smaller because they would engage more with the fans. Back when Metallica was small and Megadeth was small, heck, like all the old bands when they were small, it's like that's what we want to like hold on to, right? Like everybody was so possessive of it. And then when Metallica got big, a lot of like this ultra hardcore metalheads kind of cast Metallica aside and disowned them after even their fourth album because with the music video, they got so popular to the point where it's like you're not real metal anymore
Mm-hmm.
because you've lost the desire to just make good music, and you've sold out. You've traded that for popularity. It's basically what selling out means for these people. And so I don't know which side of it to take. I don't like the presentation of how they brought the song back, but I don't know. It's something I wanted to talk about because it baffles me that stuff like that happens, because like there's cheesy ways to do it, like they bring back a Led Zeppelin song or a Guns N' Roses song for a Thor movie or something. But I think if done right, it can be pretty cool and it can introduce people to the band again. But it's like I don't know if it's gonna be like, because the attitude towards the music is going to be completely different now.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that's something that I enjoy, because how I got into that kind of music was very different. Because maybe it's just because my upbringing is so different with music in general. I have such a completely different outlook on music just because my musical life has been so it's not that different from most other people's, I suppose. I bet a lot of other people have had my experience, but you know, it's like I don't know, man.
Yeah. I think I get the argument, but I think to me that kind of feels like what I was saying earlier, is that sounds like people who, like, you know, really enjoyed this one aspect of, like, you know, the fandom and the band, this like one point in time, and they just want that to stretch out forever, which to me, I don't know, it feels really selfish, I guess, because I love Open Mike Eagle, and, you know, I love the fact that he's small, so he can still do all this weird stuff, and he can still be very personal in his music. But, you know, if he got big and, you know, kind of strayed away from that and became, you know, less weird, it's like, I might enjoy the music less, but I wouldn't hold it against him. You know, It's because fundamentally, as a fan, I want to see them succeed. So even if it means that leaving behind what I personally liked, I think to me, it's like I can still enjoy that older stuff and the older feeling, and people who were fans of him back then, while still being happy that, you know, they've gone forward and they're making this new stuff and being more popular and being recognized for what they did. So I understand it, but to me, it's like, I also don't think that the new stuff or new fans ruins that old experience you had. And in some ways, you're letting it be ruined for you because you're angry that, like, new things exist. Like, yeah, because we all have, you know, an idealized version of this past, and there was stuff that was better back then that we would love to see continue, but it's not going to. And I think that just being so angry that it's not like that anymore, and getting upset because new people are enjoying something that you enjoyed now, it's like, to me, that just comes off as fairly selfish and more of just I liked it when I only like this whenever I liked it. Like, I don't actually appreciate the artist. I appreciate how
the time.
Yeah. I think that it's just fundamentally not appreciating the artist and more appreciating the time and how you felt at that point. Yeah. I understand why, but I just think that it's a bit, like,
prudish.
Yeah. And as I said before, I would just rather see, you know, artists grow and change over time instead of having to, you know, be a broken record at some point.
Well, that's the sentiment that ruled Slayer's entire career. Like, they never changed their sound or their style for any of their albums, and they were always known. Like, they retired after 37 years of being a band, so they're the first of the big four of thrash metal. Really, the big four is the first four bands that really defined thrash metal as we know it today, which is Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, and Slayer. And the Slayer's entire thing was a one-trick pony of just really fast riffs that are all based on the lowest note, and the solos that are really wild, and like really fast headbanging, really fast riffs, and really fast drums and stuff. And yeah, they're a one-trick pony. And that's the sentiment that ruled their whole career. Very much unlike the rest of the big four, where they changed up over time, some more extremely than others. Pretty sure Metallica had the most extreme change, even more than Megadeth, because Megadeth recovered from it very quickly. And then Anthrax was pretty mellow in their curve of change. But, yeah, like, it's funny because I know a metalhead guy whose favorite bands are Iron Maiden, Megadeth, and some Slayer. And he's got a bunch of Slayer shirts, but he says Slayer can just get boring to listen to after a while because it's a one-trick pony. Megadeth and Iron Maiden, they got variety. Like it's there's something about variety. But then again, there's like people who will hate you because you changed from the thing. Not too much change, of course, because as we know, like tones overall tend to change over the albums. The composition style may change. Like Meshuggah's catalog is completely jacked up because every album sounds completely the same as far as tone. Like it's all like most of it's still 8-string guitars, of course, but it's all composed and done up so differently that it's like every album it's almost a completely different band to listen to, really.
Yeah.
But that's also the cool thing about it is that like maybe it's because they're Swedes too, because like they don't really care about that. They're just like they just make music how it sounds in their head, and they're like, yeah, they're incredibly casual about it.
Yeah. I guess to relate it to what I know, is that I think that one-trick pony thing is kind of how I feel about NF. I don't hate him.
Yes.
I actually enjoy a lot of his songs, but after a while, I just feel like I'm listening to the same song. Granted, in his newest mixtape album, I think it's his newest one, he does change it up, and I do enjoy some of the songs from there. But I think that was where I really found my first artist that I was kind of like, it all just kind of blends together for me. And
yeah.
And that's where it's like, I would rather somebody take a risk and me not like it than just continuing on just doing whatever it is they already did. Because like I could always just re-listen to the album, so it's like it's not like moving on to something else erases what you've already done. So for me, I would just rather, it's like move on and I can appreciate what's in the past for what it was. And if I don't like the new stuff you're doing, I don't like it, but other people do, so good on you.
That's what I was gonna say too. NF has a weird kind of energy to me. It was like going back to what we were talking about with like energies and like what artists do and don't have like energy and like why that makes it unenjoyable at some points. It's like NF doesn't have that much energy to me, but the energy that he does have reminds me of a metal type anger, but it's also mixed with something else that I don't recognize. So it's an energy that kind of makes me make that kind of face. It's like, huh? It's
yeah.
NF is an odd kind of person, and yeah, I always thought he was a one-trick pony. I thought my experiences with a lot of things that like I didn't discover or my dad didn't show me was like a lot of one-trick pony style stuff. Like Imagine Dragons, I don't care what anyone says, they all sound the same. Most things nowadays just sound exactly like the other thing, which annoys me to no end. Even amongst metal, stuff is sounding the same, unless you're an old band, which bothers me because, you can make stuff more unique. You could, but you don't.
Yeah.
I mean, and those that do make it unique will never get the recognition that I think they deserve. Like, there's no such thing as a distinctive tone anymore. Like back in the day, for my kind of music, like in rock, in metal, in basically anything that had a guitarist that was well known, you knew who that guitarist was just by listening to a few seconds of his guitar playing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, you don't really have that anymore. Like, and there's very few examples here and there of who really can stand out from the bunch. Right? Like, in my opinion, Ola Englund really defines that. He's a Swedish metal YouTuber, but his company, he owns a guitar company called Solar Guitars, and those guitars mean something. They have a distinctive sound. And when he plays them on his solo albums, and he's got a specific style. rhythms, his riffs are influenced by Dimebag, and his leads are influenced by John Petrucci, and it's a very specific style. And I know who it is because it's Ola, and it's so hard to find that in any kind of music nowadays. Like maybe I'm just looking in the wrong spots because everything leads me to what is popular, right?
Yeah.
It's so hard to find really not popular stuff that I can latch onto, because if it's not popular, chances are I'm gonna like it, probably, even if it's like a genre that I don't even listen to, like drift funk, right? Or funk, I suppose it's called, like that kind of music that's like kind of Giga Chad music, but it's also the stuff you put over like VHS tapes of cars drifting around, right? Yeah. It's like that kind of music is really cool to me because that kind of music is incredibly niche. The drift funk,
yeah,
it's very, very particular, and I really like that. I like things that are super particular. But it's not even stuff that's small. It's just highly particular, really.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm gonna have to call it because I got to get going. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, shoot. All right. Been an abrupt end, but all right.
Yeah, sorry about that. Any final words?
Not really. Was there anything you wanted to bring up real quick beforehand?
Not particularly. Honestly, I think we did good. You know, we got an hour and a half. We got some great conversations. So.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for doing it with me.
Yeah. Well,
I'll roll the outro, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, we got to do those promo videos eventually for the podcast. You and I got to make stuff separately and then upload it to our channels or something. I know you're busy, and I know I'm busy. I'm busy right now, man.
I can do. Yeah, no, I have a video that I can do a promo and that I can get out in a few weeks because I need a filler video. So I'll put in that one. And that should come out in the next few weeks.
All right, cool. All right, well then, guys, this has been a great talk about music and the musical experience because, like we've said many times before, Idiots on the Airwaves is just a music podcast disguised as a regular podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like that kind of thing, subscribe to the channel, follow us, and listen to us on Spotify because our episodes are going there too, hopefully in a video format if the uploader likes me enough to process the video. And also subscribe to AdventureKarma here because he is almost to 200 subscribers.
That is true. And I cannot... exciting news. I'm going to announce it here instead of announcing on my channel. I can make community posts now.
Yes.
I don't know why. I don't know what milestone I hit, but I can do it now. So
we can get memes and notifications for his videos on the community posts or any random things because community posts can be just like regular Instagram posts or something. I don't know.
Community post is just YouTube like farming. That's all it is.
And just another shot to get in the algorithm with a meme or something. I don't know. We hope you have enjoyed the episode. Stay tuned for the next one where we will be talking about goodness knows what. Mm-hmm. But we'll definitely be having it'll be fun. I don't know what it is, but we'll have fun. Maybe a guest if AdventureKarma here can hook him up because I want that guest on. Not saying who, because it might not happen, but we'll see.
We'll see.
Anyways, thanks for watching /listening, and we'll catch you in the next one. See ya.
Peace.